folks. Thanks for tuning in to the next episode of the Snowy's Camping Show. Joined as you, I can't mix my words this morning, joined as usual by myself, Ben, and my colleague Lauren. How are you going today?
Good.
Is that chamomile tea you've got in front of you there?
No, it's peppermint actually. Trying to give myself a bit of a zhuzh first thing in the morning.
Totally different aromas
Did you?
than I thought.
Sorry, I'm just going to adjust my chair here.
Sorry, I did start without saying, are you ready? I just jumped straight into it.
Not ready. It's cold in here. Yeah. Oh, well.
It is cold. Usually turns the air conditioner on for a little bit, but it didn't do that this morning.
Yeah, don't need to.
If you haven't already subscribed, you can do via YouTube, via your favourite podcast app. You can join in on the conversation at our Facebook group called Snowy's Camping Banter. And we now have Spotify video as well. So you can watch us on Spotify too, which is something we've just signed up to recently. Now we've got another, well, probably a short episode. We'll see how that pans out. But a customer got a little stubby caller of customer questions here. Mm-hmm. Some of these are based on what people have asked. Some are just things we've thrown in there to go, let's discuss that in the podcast. If it gets pulled out and it's attached to a name, we'll send you a stubby caller and a sticker. We've got a few that are sitting on desks going, this is to be sent to the person. There's
one only sitting on desk now. All the rest have been sent.
I've got one on my desk too. Okay. So if you've had your question already read and haven't got your stubby caller yet, sorry, we'll get around to it. But
have a look also because I will have replied to a comment asking for your address. Okay. And haven't heard from one person on that one. So if your question was asked, whatever.
We just need an address to send it to.
Correct.
But we will get it there. So we'll see. Let's pull a question out and see if there's a lucky winner today.
Oh, this is a chunky piece of paper. Oh, handwritten.
This one's handwritten. Looks like it's been in there for a while. This was from someone called Georgia, but I haven't noted. I imagine it's probably from the Facebook group, but we'll look that up. Bit of a broad one. How to choose a headlamp. Need one for multi-day hiking and car camping, but no night hiking.
Okay.
I bought a headlamp recently, actually, we were just talking about it. My daughter's been on school camp, really awesome school camp, and I've got headlamps that probably I just obtained over the years being in the industry, from industry nights and that sort of thing, from Petzl, Black Diamond, Princeton Tech, all sorts of brands. And they're all just getting to that point where they're still working, but not reliably. I've had them for over a decade. So I'm sending her off on this camp. So I thought I'll buy her a new headlamp, but I didn't need anything overly fancy. Yeah. Probably a little bit like what George is asking here, that for multi-day hiking and car camping. And I just got a Petzl ticker. It was ticker or ticker, which is just a really basic. Turn it on. It's got 2 or 3 different light settings and it turns off.
Yeah, I've got 3 taquinas, Petzl taquinas. Yeah. Actually, potentially 4 of them. One of them I've had one of them I've had since 2016.
Yep.
But they're the AA ones or the AAA ones or whatever, so they're not rechargeable.
Okay.
Which is fine because they still run for a really long time on those batteries, and you can get, like, I've got the rechargeable lithium versions of those batteries from JCar, cool. So I can recharge the individual batteries themselves. But they're great. They're great. They're just sort of the ones that we've had for everyday camping. Yep. And just have them in a box, or if you're having a fire pit out the back and you're just doing some roasted marshmallows or whatever, just kids camps, they're just there, good to go.
So that you touched on something there. Rechargeable is probably certainly a consideration to make nowadays, and I know that the Petzl range now. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure the whole range can take AAA or their core battery, which is a rechargeable battery. So you can buy that, which will go in there instead of the AAA battery. So
same
you can
with Black Diamond as well. They've got a similar.
Diamond, either or. So for the most part, you're probably, if you're looking for a good quality head torch from the range that we've got for general use, Black Diamond and Petzl have both got a really good range. So Petzl have got their ticker range, and it's like ticker XP, and it's kind of almost like the same head torch, but with extra features as the name steps up. So the
I think brightness as well.
And brightness, So the taquina is just your basic modes with so many lumens. Ticker has got maybe the same. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat.
Do you want some peppermint tea?
No, it's all right. I feel fine. It's just I just got to get the frog out. Ticker is a step up. but probably a little bit brighter. But then when you get to the XP, and I haven't actually looked closely at the latest versions, I've got to be honest, but Petzl have kind of had the same range for many, many years, and it's always been reliable. And the XP kind of goes up to having a combination of a dispersed light and a spot of light as well.
Yeah.
And then they go up to their Swift and those sort of things, which have got responsive light, which is probably beyond what George is asking for here. So you can get, we'll touch off on the really fancy ones first, maybe, because I think for the most part, that's probably not what people need unless they're looking for something specialized. So something sorry.
No, I was going to say, just quickly though, can I just potentially touch on the lumens? So it's like if for general everyday camping, anywhere sort of between 100 to 250 lumens is going to see you right through just your normal camping scenarios, which I would consider to be getting in and out of your tent, finding stuff in your bag, walking to the loo, making your way around campsite, eating your dinner, potentially food prep, but I like to have like a larger lantern over your food prep space and things like that.
Yep.
And even at that lower lumens, you'll still be able to get your spot and your flood functions. Obviously, the higher the lumens, the quicker your battery runs out and things like that. But anywhere between 100 to 250 is fine. If you're wanting to do more, you've got multi-day hiking here, and I know that you've said, Georgia, no night hiking, but even a lot of headlamps will have a medium or high function that is higher lumens, and you don't have to run it at that all the time. But anywhere sort of from your 300 to 600 range is going to be great for night hiking, like it'll really illuminate up your space. You could even do trail running at night with that. And then anything beyond 600 lumens is like it's special. It's just excessive.
Yeah, and that's getting into that
not
category.
Required.
Yeah, it's you're probably more of a spotter light. So if you need to, for whatever reason, see a significant distance that's more than what's right in front of you or maybe across the campfire or something like that, you're probably not going to need that spotter light. Something like Black Diamond Spot and the Tikka XP have got that combination of a floodlight. Now that flood or dispersed light is what you're going to use for finding your way to the loo, getting around the tent, cooking, because you haven't got a bright light. It's just dispersed light that's nice to work under. That spotter light is more like, oh, something's moving in the bushes over there and I need to focus the light down.
Make sure it's not a bunyip. Or an axe murderer.
Drop bears or something, yeah. It grabs that light and it focuses it down to a smaller area, so you haven't got as wide a view, I suppose, but you've focused all that light into one spot. And this gets into that lumens talk as well, which is probably a whole nother topic really, but lumens isn't necessarily just about how bright it is. How do you explain lumens? It's a measure of how much light is dispersed over a certain area.
Yeah.
So it's not always like it says something might be 400 lumens, but might not seem as bright as something that's focused that's 400 lumens, because those lumens are kind of it's quite technical.
Yeah. So there's also another measurement of, if I turn this light on, how far from the source of light could I still read a newspaper? And I can't remember what that one is called. I feel like that's a different.
Yeah, I've looked into this. I'm going to make, I didn't bring a pen. I'm going to make a mental note to look into this, because there's a whole nother episode on that, because you talk about lux as well.
That's it. Lux is how far from the source of the light could you stand and still read a newspaper?
Yeah. So that's it. I might geek out in another episode and look into that and just talk about it. I'm sure we must have talked about that at some stage. I can't recall. Anyway, we'll look into that. Maybe that's another episode. So let's not go into lumens right now. If you are really interested, stay tuned. Maybe that'll be an episode we'll have soon. But I think your guide's really good. Up to 250 is good just for finding your way around. But if you do want night hiking, and George, I know you say no night hiking, but if you're doing multi-day, just be wary that you can get caught out sometimes. And you might find yourself walking at night, but having a lantern that is maybe an 800 lumen lantern, you can just use the 250 lumen low setting, get extra battery life out of it, but the 800 lumens is there if you need it.
That's true. Yeah.
So maybe don't limit yourself at that top end, because they advertise like a 300 lumen lantern. That's the highest setting, which you'll get 2 hours of runtime out of, but you might find you get 30 hours of runtime at the 100 lumen setting. And that's more than enough to cook by and find your way around the campsite. And you don't have to replace the batteries as often. So you always use it on 100 lumens. So consider both ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah.
I think for general night hiking, a dispersed 300 to 800 lumen light is probably good. The spot isn't always as good, because you've got to move your head more. I find I don't
really use it as much.
No. Yeah. It's a bit of those. almost like a power thing. Like I've got to, how far does your light go? My light, and then you go, but I don't actually use that much, because if I'm cutting my tomato under this beam of light, I can't see because there's just a bright white spot in the middle, and you need a dispersed light. And the same with walking, you kind of need a bright but dispersed light to see kind of peripherally what's going on, so you're not focused on the rock on the ground, in the meantime headbutt the branch that's right in front of you, because the light's not illuminating that. You need that kind of brighter look. But
some of them do a combo beam as well. Like some head torches, they'll do the flood beam, they'll do a spot beam, and then they'll do a combo beam, which obviously will chew through your battery, but it will give you the combination of the spot and the flood, which is like really bright.
Yeah. So if you do need that, then have a look at the I'm trying to think, Black Diamond Spot. I think the Cosmo has got a spot function as well. Ticker XP from Petzl.
Yes, there's also
we haven't talked about the hardcore ones, which are really good value.
Hardcore are
lower
excellent
ends.
value. Low, like you say, lower end, great for just sort of everyday camping for your kids. If you like me and you just have a tub in your cupboard in your laundry that's got a bunch of head torches in it, there's sort of good ones to have in there.
We say the lower end in terms of price, but the quality seems to be it's hardcore
they're
quality at a really affordable price.
They're excellent for cost for what you're getting, sort of thing.
Doesn't got all the features, I suppose, all the extra features that Black Diamond and Petzl throw in
what
there.
What I sort of find is the higher you go with cost price, the things that you're factoring in are like your rechargeable battery functionality, but also more the way that the light itself is molded and the comfort of it sitting on your head and things like that. Like I've had a couple of BioLite head torches, which I absolutely used to swear by, because they have it's like a soft
neoprene sort of
it's like a soft
band,
sort of neoprene headband, and the actual panel of LED lighting and stuff is molded so it's curved for your forehead. It's not this big rectangular thing that sits there, and the battery pack is on the back. Unfortunately I've never really had them last more than 12 months, so I've had 2 or 3 of them, so I've moved on from them now. But that in and of itself, I think, presents another important element in how your head torch is powered. And you did touch on that earlier on about, rechargeable and whatever. The BioLite ones were a fully sealed rechargeable battery. So when the battery inside died, you couldn't replace it. Whereas I think, like we're talking about with the Petzls and the Black Diamonds, being able to either purchase it as a rechargeable with a removable battery, or be able to upgrade and put a removable battery in it at some point in the future, is really handy. Because the thing about the taquinas that I like, with the fact that I've had them for quite like years now, is because they are individual batteries. The light itself is fine. It's the battery that goes, right? Especially when we're talking LED chips, they last forever. It always is good, if you do have a budget, to look at a head torch that potentially uses AAAs or AA batteries, that has the option for you to invest in a rechargeable one down the track if you really love it, which I think is great. Again, like I mentioned, you can also just put in rechargeable AAs and AAAs. The other thing to consider is, especially if you're doing multi-day hiking trips. On my recent trip, I invested in a really good quality power pack. But I was surprised, because based on my calculations, the power pack should have lasted me a hell of a lot longer than it actually did, and it didn't. And then I was like, well, for the weight of it, if I was to have a head torch that used rechargeable AA batteries, 2 of them, and I took 6 AA batteries with me, and I know that, I'm more than covered. You've got flexibility there. Yep. It's not just because it's not rechargeable, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's got a disposable power source per se.
Get into the habit of turning it on the low setting. If you're working right in front of you, make sure you store it in your backpack so it doesn't accidentally turn on as well, because that will flatten your battery. 8 hours of walking during the day.
Some of them also do have a little accidental turn on lockout type thing, don't they?
Probably the other type to consider, some people might be looking at the ones with the battery pack on the back and the front. Now, many, many years ago, I bought a really good Petzl one with a battery pack on the back, and I used it for one hike and barely ever used it since, because it's not convenient for hiking.
You didn't like it?
Well, it's a good lamp, not for hiking and lightweight adventures because it had the battery pack on the back, the thing on the front, whole heap of straps.
Chunky.
Stick it in my pocket. It was too big. It was too chunky. This is back. This is not even an LED headlamp. This is an old probably halogen globe. So way back, right? I've still got it at home. I found it just the other day. LED technology has gone so far nowadays that you don't, for hiking purposes, for lightweight compact purposes, just get something that goes on the front of your head because you can stick it in your pocket. You can hang it up to sort of have like a hanging light. It's much more versatile. Not to say that those bigger lights, which we're talking the likes of LED lenser, it moves more into kind of like quality of light, like the quality of the beam and the shadows and the light and that sort of thing. They've got more focus on the reflector and that sort of thing. So they're moving into more of a technical space of quality of light, I suppose, with that sort of category. And the likes of Nightcore and Nebo too is another brand we got in recently. Have we got a headlamp? I don't know if we've got a headlamp from Nebo.
I don't know
yet.
either. We've got lots of torches and lanterns.
But for hiking, you don't need the thing on the back and the front. Really good if you're, say, maybe hunting or for trades who need a long battery life. Yeah. It sits securely on your head because the strap goes over the top. If you're using it on a helmet as well, perhaps for climbing or something. Yeah. If you want something with a brighter light that you can see a distance, you can go from flood to focus, really high quality light. So when you get that beam, it's quite well focused on animals or whatever you're doing. Yeah. They do have a purpose, not so much for what George is asking here. I think they're overkill because the Petzl and the black diamond ones that just sit on the front of your head, more than enough light. And that probably brings the next question. Do I go Petzl or do I go black diamond?
Well, there is also the other question of red light function as well, which I think we haven't talked about red light, but I got a new head torch because I needed something that was just a bit more ultralight compact. Went for a Petzl Bindi. It's just this cute little light box on the front and it's on like bungee cord. So comfortable, fits over hats, beanies, like I can wear it. Anyway, I love it. It's tiny. But the reason why I went with that because Black Diamond do one as well. It didn't have a red light function. And for me, I like to read at night or potentially, especially if you're hiking in a campground, there are lots of other people around or even just camping and going to the toilet back and forth all the time with your kids throughout the night. Having a red light function is so good because you can see what you're doing, but you're not going to cause disruption for others. Yep. And even I found sharing a tent with a hiking buddy, I could read my book at night. They slept soundly. I wasn't bothered, but that red light function is really key. Yep. So think about whether or not that's something that is important to you as well and consider that when you're choosing your model.
Bugs too. I was attracted to the red light. I know there's some campgrounds where I wouldn't put the white light on because your face is instantly full of bugs, but the red light doesn't disturb them as much. And if you do plan on doing orienteering or map reading, I know Georgia says no night hiking. If you are doing long orienteering and the likes,
better be safe than sorry, Georgia.
Red light's going to help you look at the map and then retain your night vision so you don't get that adjustment mode between looking with the light on to trying to see what's around you. The red light doesn't affect your eyes.
Side question, do the maps for orienteering take into consideration that you might be using red light? Well, because how sometimes when you look at maps with red light, you can't see certain things because, I
was just thinking about that in the back of my mind as I was saying that. I think it would potentially impact how you see it. Yeah. So you might need to consider what the map looks like or what the colours and stuff on the map are.
Yeah, for sure. Now you were saying,
well, Petzl or Black Diamond, and I say those two because they're our two kind of biggest categories, biggest range. Hardcore, definitely go for hardcore if you just want a no frills quality headlamp that's not going to cost the earth. They're really good. There's a few other brands we've had over the years that are, I mean, you get what you pay for, really. Yeah. They're just basic headlamps. Some of them usually strip down the amount of features. They might just be on and off. It might be on high setting, low setting, off. Might be on high, low, red, off. You just get different amount of features. If you want a good quality one that you're kind of going to be talking about in many, many years to come, will handle being dropped and thrown about and a bit of rain and that sort of thing reliably. Petzl and Black Diamond have both got the name in the range.
I would say so, yeah.
Bylight as well, but I'm not mentioning that because it's a little bit different. Don't discount Bylight. They're really good in some of these fringe city categories, but Black Diamond and Petzl certainly got the majority of it there. And I couldn't say go one over the other.
Me either. They're much of a muchness, I reckon.
Yeah, I tried to summarise it in how I would broadly say go here or go here. Petzl, I would say, I mean, their range hasn't changed a lot over the years. The way they look recently is probably the biggest change we've seen in a while, but they're largely the same functionality, same sort of name. They haven't introduced lots of crazy tech in their basic kind of ticker range of products. They've got like their Swift and some of those that have got reactive lighting and stuff, which is really good for fast-paced night running and that sort of thing, because it reacts to going from a spot to a flood and that sort of thing based on what it senses you're looking at. But Petzl have just got that really reliable reputation of it's a headlamp, it's got 3 settings, it's going to do the job for as long as you need it. Black Diamond, I would say, potentially a little more innovative across their range because there's always something new. They've got features like little touch thing on the side, so you touch it to change the settings on some of their lights. I've had some of their torches over the years that kind of started to stop working over a while. It was just finicky to try and work it out. You do kind of need to remember, and it's a bit like the touch headphones, right? I only use my headphones now and then when I run. And when I'm out trying to skip a song, I'm like, is it 1 tap or is it 2 taps on the right? Or which one do I press to skip a song? And I'm running along doing tap, 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 and I'm changing sound settings and stuff because I can't remember which combination of taps it is just to skip a song. If you don't want all of that and you just want it on, high, low, off, then have a look at Petzl. If you love the tech, check out Black Diamond because they've got bit more functionality, but you will need to read the manual to understand how to use all the features. And I found for the most part, I'd read and go, that's really cool. It does all this stuff. And then I just turn it on and off. I don't use all the features. But both
just
quality.
like I just Googled, I just asked Google AI and AI basically said, it's really difficult to tell the difference between the two, but versatility versus innovation, it was basically exactly what you said.
Oh, there you go. I didn't even ask
super
AI.
Reliable. Yeah, just because I was curious, they're like similar price points, it's really hard to decide. Quality. And like I said, I've got a tub of taquinas at home. We've got a tub of Black Diamond spots down at the shack. So,
I've used both over the years.
Yeah.
I had I think it was a spot, which I loved for years. Over time, I'm trying to think which I think some batteries corroded in it or the button got a bit funny. But then I've had I have had a little Petzl. No, an old Black Diamond Kids one, and the battery got the button got a little bit funny. But I'm talking years and years of use.
Yeah.
So I really couldn't recommend one over the other. Taryn, my wife's name. I don't think I've ever said her name on the podcast, but she's got a really old ticker, and that's still going.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Yeah. So we just
hopefully
pretty much
helps,
randomly threw thoughts at you in no structure, which is pretty much in line with how we roll with every episode.
How we usually roll. So if we summarize, 100 to 250 lumens, more than adequate for general camping, multi-day hiking around the campsite. Consider your power source. If you're happy to do batteries, if you want a rechargeable, whatever battery, whether or not you want to upgrade in the future if you're on a budget, those sorts of considerations. The other consideration is red light functionality, if that's important to you. And then the other one is also potentially charge time, run time, and what the high lumens of the high setting are in case you do find yourself in a situation where you need to use that. The other thing is also look at reviews, customer reviews, customer feedback. But generally, with Petzl Black Diamond, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Just one other thing I thought was a good guide is that if you decide I only need 250 lumens, doesn't mean you have to buy a 300 lumen headlamp. Buy a 600 in case you need it. And just use it on the low setting for camping and the high setting for night hiking. So just consider that.
Yeah.
And don't ever think, Georgia, that you might never get caught out hiking at night because we've all been there.
We have
misjudged how long it was going to take to get there, or had an extra long nap at lunchtime and to walk into camp in the dark.
Asleep. Yeah.
So,
or you get lost.
Or you're lost. Yeah. Geographically misplaced.
Yes,
never been lost.
That's the one.
Cool. All right. Thanks. I hope that was helpful. Thanks, guys. But we'll see you on the next episode of the Snow Is Camping Show.
Catch you later.
See you later.